What's up, you guys? Sauce the Boss here, and today I just finished up watching Pinocchio on Disney Plus. Well, guys, we gotta talk about this movie. Before I talk about anything about this film and give you guys my honest opinion for this movie review, let's tell you guys this video has no spoilers whatsoever about Pinocchio. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee or some tea, and enjoy my conversation with you guys over my opinion over the brand new Pinocchio film. So, okay, guys. So Pinocchio, the brand new Disney movie Pinocchio, is a live-action reimagination of the classic 1946 classic film, or 1930 something. Around those years, but Pinocchio has been around for generations and generations to come. And this film is another adaptation to Pinocchio, or another reimagination over the puppet. So, puppet turned into a human boy. So, another. He also has been a children's book character for numerous years as well. And that's pretty much what I can say all about who Pinocchio is, if you're not familiar who Pinocchio is. Okay, with that all being said, let's talk about Disney's reimagination, the beloved cult classic, Pinocchio, the cartoon. So, let's see what the differences and key things for this film and then the last one. Well, let's talk about reimagination, live-action adaptation of Pinocchio. So starting off with the movie, the plot is very simple. It follows an older gentleman who goes by the name of Geppetto. One day, Geppetto had a grand idea of creating a puppet. Not creating a puppet, not like the master of puppets, but he created a puppet. He's a toy maker and a clockmaker, so he decided to make a puppet. And this puppet, he calls himself Pinocchio. So it revolves around the story of Pinocchio coming alive and going on this daring journey to show how intelligent and brave and humble he is. So it goes on this immaculate journey to prove that he could be a real boy. So I'm not gonna give any spoilers, but that's the main gist of the plot of Pinocchio. Okay, guys, talking about the characters in this film, going over, talk about Tom Hanks in this role. Tom Hanks is the role of Geppetto. I'm like, seriously? My opinion for Geppetto in this film, he's really overdone. He was really not Geppetto. Geppetto does not feel like Geppetto from the original film. He still got the glamour of Geppetto, but it's not himself. It's a different version, a little bit darker. There's some new things added to the character, which I'm like, oh snap, stuff like that. So that's what I can say about the character overall. But Tom Hanks, who portrayed Geppetto, I'm like, getting in to see Tom Hanks again was immaculate. I love Tom Hanks, great actor. He just does an amazing job of any role he is given, any circumstances. He just makes me smile. But this adaptation for Tom Hanks, I feel like it wasn't him. It wasn't like you can clearly tell a Tom Hanks movie when you see Tom Hanks fully immersed into a character. This doesn't feel like the same Tom Hanks. So I feel like he got him like a script. I'm like, yeah, I really like this character, and it takes him a while to get used to. I'm like, yes, this is Tom Hanks. This is Tom Hanks playing Geppetto. It takes your mind a couple minutes understanding. I'm like, this is not Tom Hanks. It's not one of his best works. I'm like, this is not this juggernaut actor. I'm like, you can clearly tell it takes you over a couple minutes to understand. I'm like, yeah, it's not the best Tom Hanks role. There could be other actors who could be suited better to play Geppetto. Like, I thought Harrison Ford would be an amazing Geppetto, just because he has that more of the gruff anger to his tone of voice, and it just makes him sound a little bit more menacing, but also kind of more childlike and more fatherly, if you will. So there's that. Another character we're going to talk about, Jiminy Cricket, sounds exactly like the original voice from the original film, just slightly modernized, and he was a beautiful CGI character. Every time he hops around, it sounds like a cricket, which I'm not really a spoiler, but just a really nice little touch by Disney. So shout out to them for adding that little hopping cricket noise. It just makes it feel like it's Jiminy Cricket, and it's just amazing. The Blue Fairy was good. All the characters in this movie just had a more modernized take to the classic Pinocchio. Even Stromboli, for example, he had more things to it. And also a new character, which I can't really give out too much. Okay, so now you guys know about the plot, know about the basics of the characters. How did I feel about this movie? Well, going in, watching the teaser trailer, I'm like, yes, this looks really magical, and it was magical. It was magical, but it also felt rushed. It felt like, yes, this is a magical, immersive experience. And then you're like, oh, yeah, that does not make sense with the original movie, but it's a different retelling of the story to make it more family friendly. I get that. So, I really get that. So, I'm not talking about my gripe right now over what a magical tale. I really enjoyed the CGI. CGI was delicious. It was phenomenal. Chef's kiss to Disney. I absolutely love everything they animated in this film. It makes it feel real. It makes it feel really organic. And it feels really natural. So, it was really cool. I forgot to mention this. The portrayal of Pinocchio, guys, I thought it was alright. There were scenes I'm like, yes, it's Pinocchio, but Pinocchio was not. So yeah, Pinocchio was not himself. It was not really feel like a young kid. It does feel like a young kid. It felt like a Fisher Price toy that's kind of talking to you. No offense, but the actor did it was really well. It just felt really repetitive. Some of his lines and some of his mannerisms, just like, yeah, thrown in there. I'm like, yeah, it's okay, it's okay. So it's pretty much like thrown in there, overused, recycling material from the original film with the Pinocchio, with a little bit of a superhero twist. You might have to watch the movie because he had some new abilities, and those abilities I don't want to talk about. They're just interesting. So he got new abilities. He got some things that don't really line up, in my opinion, how I remember the original film, which I watched recently. So some of the things don't really line up with. So like I said, going into this film, I was hyped. Walking out of there, I'm like, yeah, that's not the greatest Disney film ever. Okay, so now we learned all about the characters, including Pinocchio, because I forgot to mention that, and how I felt going into this movie, and how I felt. So, with that all being said, let's talk about the gripes about Pinocchio. And oh boy, I do have a ton of gripes about this movie. Number one, they really cut out some of the, I know it's reimagination and retelling of the story, but they really cut out some really key elements from the original movie. Like, I thought some of those scenes were actually be adaptations of those new scenes that could be adaptations to this film. There's some scenes that kind of strands over, like some of the music from the original makes it come back and it makes it sound more modernized, which I thought was really cool for a really nice music and scenes. So it just, some little details do make a comeback, but some of it does not. Some of it does not just come back. It's almost like the WandaVision meme, like the WandaVision, like, we want ice cream, that type of meme. That kind of like how Pinocchio's tone of voice was. So, I'm not going to make fun of it too much, but the actor did amazing. That's how I kind of feel about the movie, just that little meme. And another gripe I have with it, this scene felt like super fast, like you're speed running through Pinocchio. If it's like a video game, you're like speed running through it, trying to finish it to the final boss. It does not feel like that. Like, so the things they did to him, like, how? And how's that possible? It's usually something, it's a little bit of a recap and a little bit of hustle down. I'm like, we don't get that, like, aspect, like, of him, like, calming down, go back to realizations with his conscience. We don't get to see that. We don't get to see that at all. So, which I'm not really a spoiler, but it's just one of my gripes. You don't get, like, a more elaborate, realistic approach to the character. So that's pretty much all my gripes about this film. Overall, this film for me was a solid, probably 6 out of 10. Not the greatest Disney portrayal at all. There's stuff I liked, stuff I didn't like. It was a magical telling of a movie. It's not the strongest Disney live-action movie. That has to go with Alice in Wonderland. I thought that and Beauty and the Beast was some of the better adaptations. But I don't think it's the greatest film to the state of Disney's time. Disney could have done a better job with realizations to these characters and the story overall. So that's my honest opinion. So for younger children, some scenes might be actually horrifying to you if you've not seen the original. So I highly recommend you guys see the original Pinocchio before watching this one if you're a young one. It's totally kid friendly. Just like certain scenes, you're like, oh yeah, they kind of cut out some of the original jokes from the era, some of the things they did in the original 1930s era. They made it more kid and more friendly. Some of it was kind of too dark for children. Still to this day, there are that scene that's still dark. I don't want to talk about it. But if people have not seen it, I just don't think kids will understand what's going on. It's also kind of frightening and horrifying. It made some of that, the whole sequence, the whole scene I'm talking about, kind of foreshadowing. It's kind of really dark for children, kind of frightening, kind of spooky. So if you're a parent out there, I highly recommend it. Watch it with your kid. You would have a blast, even though it's a 6 out of 10 for myself. So with all that being said, Pinocchio 2000 and 2022 adaptation was a 6 out of 10. Not the greatest portrayal of, by means of a Disney reimagination and cult classic. There's still time to progress for Disney, like The Little Mermaid and Snow White. So hopefully those movies will do justice and make it more elaborate. And also, why are we going to remake The Little Mermaid? Come on. I'm excited for it. The trailer looked really good, but I don't know. What do you guys think? So leave in the comments down below what you guys think of Pinocchio and other Disney reimaginations or retellings of classic characters and stories. So I'm not sure what's next for Disney. Hopefully they do an amazing job pretty soon with other films. So thank you, Disney, for giving us this really amazing movie. And I'm out of here, and thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful day.